Deal. Hold on.
Now?
Wait.
Now? Now?
Now.
This is my out of the home theater review for Project Hail Mary. I'm going to tell you what I thought about the movie briefly. I'm going to tell you what my thoughts are on the video quality as well as the audio quality. So I saw this movie in the theater in IMAX, and I went into this movie basically knowing pretty much nothing about the movie. I heard a little bit here and there, just, you know, from watching content creators on YouTube, but I knew nothing about this movie. I didn't read the book, so, you know, I have friends that read the book, and pretty much everybody was saying the same thing. This is like the best book to movie adaptation ever. So there was a lot of hype behind this movie. I saw content creators, friends that, you know, read the book and said, this is going to be big. This is going to be huge. You know, I watched John Campia's channel, and they were saying how they saw previews last year at CinemaCom, and they were like, man, this is going to blow everybody away. It's going to win all these awards. So it was really, really hyped up. So I didn't really know what to expect because, like I said, I didn't read the book, and I pretty much had no idea what was going on, which to me is kind of a good thing. I'm not really a book reader as far as like book to movies. I did that one time with The Hunger Games, and I didn't like it because I knew what was supposed to happen. And so there's the people that read the books and then the movie ends up being completely different or not accurate, and, you know, they get disappointed. Anyways, I saw this movie in IMAX and I really enjoyed it. So the movie itself, I think because it was so hyped up, I don't want to go so far to say that it was a letdown, but I was just like, yeah, this is a good movie. It's enjoyable. You know, there was a few scenes maybe where they could have cut back a little bit, but overall, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was overhyped, not bad by any means, not great. Since then, I have watched the movie at least 3 times. Just watched it last week with some friends. Gonna watch it again with some friends this weekend. And having watched the movie multiple times, I can't lie, I'm starting to like this movie a lot more. Again, maybe it was because of the hype and I was expecting something just absolutely spectacular. But now that I've seen it in the theater, and, you know, once by myself, two or three times by myself, watching demo clips and then watching it with friends, I'm like, man, I'm really starting to like this movie a lot more. Like this is a feel-good movie. You know, you wouldn't expect to get attached to a rock, at least a rock alien, but that's exactly what happens with this movie. So, you know, Ryan Gosling did great. I don't know anything about the books, what the character is like, but friends that have read the book, they said that that was perfect casting. So yeah, I'm really starting to enjoy this movie more and more. Just, I don't know, it's very rare that a movie does that, where it grows on me like that after multiple viewings. You know, obviously if I watch a movie and it's amazing, it's going to be amazing when I watch it at home. If a movie's bad, it's probably going to still be bad no matter how many times I watch it. This movie, I enjoyed it. I thought it was okay. But this one grows on me, man, for some reason. So I'm really starting to enjoy the movie a lot more. I'm appreciating it a lot more. And you just get that, you get attached to that rock, and how they were able to convey a human interacting and have a relationship with an alien rock. You would probably think, if someone told you that, you'd be like, that's crazy, that's not possible. But it's possible. So I'm really enjoying the movie. I'm gonna watch it again. I'll probably enjoy it even more. Video. So as I said, I watched this in the theater in IMAX, and yeah, this is a movie that you should see in IMAX if you have the chance. Obviously, it's not in the theater anymore, at least I don't think. But yeah, this is an outer space movie that's big, it's grand. You got to see it in the biggest screen as possible. And IMAX is the biggest way to see a movie like this. The visuals are incredible. The cinematography in this is amazing, especially the scenes when, you know, Riley and Grace is outside and they're trying to capture the astrophage or whatever it's called. Yeah, astrophage. And you know, you've got that one scene where you've got like this bright orange, and then you've got these like luscious greens and blues, and just it's a beautiful movie. So I was like, man, this should look pretty awesome in the home. And yeah, it looks just like it did in IMAX. Now I will say there is a lot of grain in this movie. There's a ton of grain in this movie. So this is a gritty movie, so it fits. There's also a lot of dark scenes, obviously outer space. So there's pretty much grain throughout this whole movie. I mean, there's flashbacks, stuff like that. So if you're a grain hater, you might not like the transfer on this one. And honestly, I'm trying to remember if I noticed there was a lot of grain when I watched it in IMAX. I honestly can't remember. But there's a ton of grain in this movie, but it fits because it's a gritty movie. It's outer space. You know, there's flashbacks. Typically, a lot of movies have, you know, grain and flashbacks. But as far as IMAX, yeah, I'm watching this on my 110-inch, you know, Seymour screen. It looks beautiful. So I did watch this on the Xgimi Titan Norm Max, and I'm glad that I did, because the brightness on that, 7,000 lumens, and man, it looked amazing on the Xgimi. So IMAX scenes, beautiful cinematography, absolutely amazing. I wouldn't say that this is going to be like the best transfer of the year as far as digital, you know, movies at home for reference, but to show off, you know, IMAX scenes, outer space, vivid, vibrant colors, luscious colors. Yeah, I mean, anybody that watches this at home on a big screen, man, if you've got like 100-inch or bigger, 150-inch, 200, this is going to look phenomenal. And yeah, if anything, I could see it winning some awards for cinematography, but I don't think this is going to be like your reference, like, oh, you got to watch this for reference on my projector or on my TV. But it looks beautiful. It looks amazing. I love the cinematography. I love the color grade, what they did with this one. So video is, it looks like it did in the theater. I can't complain. Where this movie stands out is the audio.
Manual mode activated.
Go. That's not half bad.
It's full good. Time go fishing question.
It's now or never.
$3,000 meters.
3,000.
Probe signal. Good.
Now comes the fun part.
Grace go out on hull to retrieve collector? No fun at all.
It's a joke.
Oh, humor. Confusing.
This audio is awesome, but it's kind of weird because when I was watching the Atmos viewer and watching the movie, this is a fairly static Atmos mix. And I know when you first hear that, you're going to think, oh man, that's not good. It's the complete opposite. So when I first sat down to watch the movie, I didn't watch the Atmos viewer at all. I typically don't look at that until I start like picking out scenes to review. But I watched the movie and I was like, man, this sounds really good. Like the sound design on this is phenomenal. One of the best I've heard in a long time. And they do some really, really cool stuff with Rocky, the alien rock, with his voice. You know, when he's stressed, or obviously you probably have seen the movie by now, hopefully if you're watching this, but when he's trying to save Ryland's, you know, his life, Grace, and he gets out of his little like pod thing or whatever it is, bubble pod, and he starts, you know, the atmosphere starts, I guess, kind of like killing him, and the sounds that he makes are really cool. And then when they show you the Rock's point of view, Rocky, his point of view, because he needs echolocation. So when you're seeing his point of view, they do some really cool audio stuff there, you know, bouncing around. It sounds like it's his voice, or what he's hearing is bouncing around the room. And then the music on this is phenomenal. It kind of reminds me a little bit of a Hans Zimmer type score. I'm not sure who scored this audio for the, you know, the soundtrack, but the audio in this is just grand, massive. It sounds humongous, and this is just an all-around incredible audio mix. But like I said, when I went to go look at the Atmos viewer, I was like, is this right? Because I'm not seeing hardly any movement as far as dynamic movement. And yeah, like the two scenes that I picked out when I was watching it, and I'm looking at it again right now, the bed layers, like, I don't think there's any objects moving in the bed layer at all. Hardly ever. It's very static. You do get some movement up top, but even then the objects are pretty stationary. But you would never know it. The sound design on this is incredible. It's awesome. And like I said, the music and the score is just absolutely grand. It sounds tall. It sounds big. It sounds wide, and it's just expansive. It's going to make your room sound a lot bigger than it actually is. And the bass.
Why ship moving? Question.
There's a hole in it!
Hull breach. Port side fuel compartments 11 and 12.
What happened? Question.
The fuel is migrating to Adrian!
Eject bad fuel bay. Question.
Yeah!
Jettison port fuel tank compartment 12. Confirmed. Jettison port fuel tank compartment 11. Confirmed.
Eject other fuel bay.
So I'll say this. There's not a whole lot of bass scenes in this movie compared to the length of the movie, but when there is, it hits hard, very hard. It's loud, it's hard, it's visceral, it's tactile. And man, like, there's a couple scenes that if you're not prepared for it, you'll get some jump scares from the bass. So the bass is phenomenal. It's like I said, super tactile, super loud. I was watching this at -14. I typically usually stay at -16, but I said, once I heard it, when I started the movie, I was like, oh, this sounds good. I cranked it up to -14, and man, did it sound phenomenal in here. The bass was like, I think I heard a couple things rattling because I was still working in here. So I had some stuff lying on the floor in the seats. So it may have been that, but the bass is super clean, super tight, visceral, tactile. This track is going to slam you in the chest. You're going to feel it in your lower back. You're going to feel it in your chest. And it does an incredible job of spreading out the bass in your room. Obviously, you know, that depends on how many subwoofers you have. I have 4. But through and through, man, this audio is incredible. The one thing I will say is at times the music is so grand, it can kind of drown out the voices, the center channel. There's quite a few times in the big action set pieces where, you know, Grace is in the ship and there's a bunch of chaos, you know, there's fuel leaking and they're, you know, spinning around, stuff like that. You could barely make out what he was saying. Now, whether that's intentional or not, I can't speak to that. But I did notice, I was like, the music does drown out his voice just a little bit, even Rocky a few times. So that's really the only negative that I would say about this track. But besides that, man, the audio is just, so far for me, I haven't seen all the movies this year, but for me, there's no question, Project Hail Mary is the best audio on digital release so far. Now, we still have 6 months left in the year, so there could be something else that comes out that surpasses it. But for me right now, the audio is the best track that I've heard this year. The only thing that I would say that comes close is Predator Badlands. Predator Badlands is I would say has more action scenes throughout the movie, but as far as overall, this one's my favorite so far for 2026. So, video. I'm gonna give the video an 8. It's not the best. It's definitely not worse, not horrible. Obviously, I'm giving it an 8, so it's very good. But I just don't think it's like demo worthy. You know, I got to show this off to my friend. I got to show off my projector or my display, and this is the movie that I want to show. I don't think it's that. But as far as how it looked in the theater, IMAX, obviously you get the IMAX ratio. It is alternating aspect ratios. So you do have the IMAX scenes, but then you also have the black bars. But it looks like it did when I saw it in the theater. So I'm going to give it a solid 8. The audio, this is tough, man, because it's my favorite this year. The music is phenomenal. The score by itself sounds really, really good. The music is, like I said, it's a very big sounding audio track as far as the music. I mean, it goes up into the height channels. It sounds big, tall, wide, expansive. It's going to make your room sound a lot bigger than it actually is. And then the bass, you know, when there's bass, it's pretty stinking awesome. And yeah, so because there are a few times where the audio does get, you know, the vocals in the center channel does get drowned out a little bit, I'm gonna have to give this a 9. I want to give it a 9.5, but I can't. I'm gonna give it a 9. So 9 for audio, 8 for video. Incredible. And so I basically just finished my entire room with the fabric walls, you know, fabric mate, and yeah, the fabric walls. I've got just a little small piece that I have to do in the back because I ran out of a material. But man, now that I've got pretty much all the walls done, I've got all my speakers mounted. So I'm running a, 9.4.6. Oh, and that's one thing I need to mention too about the high channels. So I'll talk about that here. So as far as the high channels, again, you would never know it, but when I was watching the Atmos viewer, I never saw more than 4 height channels activated at the same time. It's either the front 2, so like your front height channels and the middle height channels, top, middle, or the top, middle, and rear top middles. I can't even remember what they're called now. But I never really saw all 6 of them at the same time. And then there's a few times where it's just the top middles that are activated. So if you've got 6 height channels, you're probably not going to get all 6 heights activated at the same time. The most I saw was 4. But I was shocked by that because of how big and how expansive the movie sounds. And so whenever the, I don't know, I guess it's the AI that talks whenever Rylan wakes up, like in the beginning of the movie, or anytime he's talking to the computer, whatever it's called, computer AI, you do hear it overhead. So it sounds really cool, and it sounds like it has that echoey reverberation, like you're in a big ship and there's a computer that's talking to you from all around you. You get that sense of immersion. But again, looking at the Atmos viewer, you would think that it's using every single channel in the heights and that there's tons of dynamic activity, and it's not. But the sound design on this was amazing. So yeah, I'm gonna give this audio a 9 and an 8 for the video. And man, this is becoming one of my favorite movies just to watch. And like I said, I've got some other friends coming over this weekend, so I'm excited to see, what they think. I had some friends over this past weekend. And one thing I will say is, whenever I have friends over, I give the best seats in the house to my friends, which is right behind me in the middle. And then that's the main row behind me. I always sit right here next to me, or next to where I'm sitting right now. And it used to be an incredibly horrible experience. When I would sit here, I'm like, man, this sounds horrible. Like, this is what it sounds like. But now that I have the fabric walls, now that I have an extra row of speakers, so I have, a speaker for each row, a set of speakers. And I actually ran calibration on the Trinnov to do 2 separate configurations. I have wides when it's just by myself, and then I have the front row configured to just another set of surrounds. So there's 2 sets of surrounds. However, I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave it as wides this time. This is the first time I'm having people over since I've done the, remodeled the room. I want to see how it sounds. Dude, sitting in this seat, obviously the surround panning is not the same because you lose a lot of immersion sitting in the front row versus where the hot seat is. But you talk about a massive upgrade sitting in the front row. It sounded pretty good. And somehow the bass is improved too, because the bass, I could tell, I'm like, wow, the bass is horrible sitting up here. So man, the fabric walls and adding more speakers, having them placed a little bit higher than what they were before, and having one for each row, man, I don't dread sitting in the front row and the corner anymore because it sounds so amazing. But that is my out of the home theater review for Project Hail Mary. Have you guys seen it? If you have it on digital, what are your thoughts? Do you have it on Apple TV? Do you have it on Kaleidescape? Or are you waiting to buy it on physical media? Let me know. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.